Good morning, everybody.
Good morning, sir.
Maybe we will wait for a couple of minutes. So Harilakshmi ma'am and Sata ma'am, if you can just let the students to join in,
Yes, sir.
and then we will start. Hi. So hi, student. I'm just waiting for some of your friends to join in, and then we'll start. So maybe another 1 minute. We'll wait, and then we'll start. Okay, student. So let's start. So again, very good morning to everybody. So what we have learned now is basically Industry 4.0. We have learned about the AI, artificial intelligence. What we have learned is basically we have learned about machine learning. We have learned about AI, IoT, right? So let me share my screen and please let me know once you're able to see my screen. I hope all of you are able to see my screen.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Excellent. So what you've learned about machine learning, AI, and deep learning is that AI is basically a technique which enables computer to mimic human behavior. Machine learning is a subset of AI which uses statistical methods to enable machines to improve with experiences. And deep learning is a subset of machine learning, right, which make the computation of multi-layered neural network feasible within the whole ecosystem of AI. Next, we have learned about machine learning and its applications of AI. I'm not repeating what we have learned again. I just wanted to recapture what we have learned so that at least you know in machine learning what we have done, right? And if you've got any question, you can ask me. Next is basically how machine learning is relevant to AI. See, machine learning is seen as part of an artificial intelligence or AI, which I told you is a subset. And machine learning algorithm basically is built on kind of an algorithm. The rules engine is done, and which basically helps to create a model based on the sample data known as the training data in order to make a future predictions or make a predictive analysis or decisions that being basically help to come to a conclusion or provide analytical inputs for basically the decision you can do, right? So for that, we need to create some programs, And based on that, we get the output. And machine learning algorithms are used in wide variety of applications. As you can see, basically in your email filtering, the speech recognition, if you have got iPhone or this thing, you got basically facial recognition also, right? So this is how it has been done. Or it may be your laptop, you have got a fingerprint recognition, right? So this is all based on the machine learning that has been done and basically based on the rules, right? So that recognizes you and allow you to enter your system or allow to use your application, right? So this is basically how it works, and the algorithm is best to perform the best output that it can come. Next, I just want to talk about the machine learning supports the predictive analytics, because that is one of the most important thing that what we are looking at. And please let me know you're able to hear or not. So,
Yes, sir.
yeah, great. So next is that it allows you to have the predictive analysis, and what happens is that using the machine learning, implementation of machine learning, and use the data, right? And the neural networks, which mimics the way of the working of the human brain, it allows you to create kind of a predictive analytics, which basically helps you to get basically how the problem can be solved in future, or provide you an analysis which you can use for your better analysis, and also to actions that you can take based on that, right? So this is how the predictive analysis is done. For example, if you can think of kind of a weather forecasting, right? So they're also using the AI and ML, we able to do the some kind of forecasting. On business also using the AI and ML, we able to do a lot of analytics and predictive analysis. And also, for example, if you think of a machine that basically when the future breakdown will happen, so how it is done based on the past history or based on the algorithm that has been done using the AI and ML, you can predict when the machine will be getting breakdown, so that you can take a preventive maintenance for that, so that there is a continuous use of those machines. Next is basically the machine learning, as you can see, are being used and with the based on the algorithm, and basically used on this, as you can know, in the stock exchange and stock market also. In fact, a lot of investment firms and this thing, they want to create kind of a using AI/ML, the prediction of the shares and debentures, so that they can make money. And currently, some of the Bitcoin coins investments also they try to do the hedging. They're trying to do based on these predictions. How basically in one market which is up, they wanted to sell; in the market which is low, they want to buy. So, kind of a training on those things also has been done, so that to maximize the profit, right? So this is another way of using kind of a using the machine learning. They want to make some money out of the market. Any question till now, students? Next is data mining. So data mining is basically very, very important. This can be a topic for you who wants to basically work on more on data mining, because currently what we see in data mining, there are a lot of opportunities. So again, I just wanted to stress on data mining, though I mentioned on the last class, but if some of you have not joined or you have not heard, I will again talk about the data mining a little bit, and then we will move forward. So what is data mining? Data mining basically is a software that can search through the terabytes of huge amount of data, right? And provide us valuable insights, patterns, journeys, and relationship in the data in the matter of minutes, right? So data mining is a type of analytical process that identifies meaningful trends and relationship in the raw data. And this is used to predict the future data. So this is highly used in case of analytical firms regarding the data mining, because using that they can basically predict the future. The data mining tools comes through large batches of data sets with a broad range of techniques to discover data structures such as anomalies, patterns, journeys, or correlation that has been existing over more than 3 or 4 decades, and maybe from the early 1990s. So data mining that are used today are consisting of the three disciplines: statistics, the numerical study of the data relationship; artificial intelligence, the extreme like the human-like intelligence and displays by software or machines; machine learning, the ability to automatically learn from the data with minimum human assistance. So the third one is very, very important. That is how we basically learn from the data and able to predict. Using these techniques, the data mining helps to provide more insights into the complex structures and unstructured data to provide accurate insights and better predictions of data. Then this can be used by companies to anticipate and solve problems for the future and make informed decisions to mitigate risk and to have new opportunities to grow, right? So this is how, as you can see, data mining plays a very, very critical element for corporates, because using this, they're able to predict, mitigate risk, and also able to see what are the new opportunities that are coming up. And based on that, they can take their decisions. So student, any question till now? Yes, student. Okay, so what are the approach of basically machine learning? Machine learning approaches are traditionally divided into three broad categories depending on the nature of signal or feedback available to learning systems. One is supervised learning, right? So what is supervised learning? The computer is presented with an example inputs and the desired outputs given by the person who is getting training them, and the goal is to learn the general rule that maps into the output. Means based on the what are the like the person who is training them, the results they desire is as per the output what the person who is teaching them, the teacher or the person who is the programmer want to have. Unsupervised learning, no labels are given to the learning algorithm, leaving it to the own to find structure in its input. So unsupervised learning is the goal in itself, discovering the hidden patterns or basic algorithms or the data in that by means to get towards in featuring the learning, means that using the unsupervised learning, you want to have a result to find the output where you are trying to get the machine learning to basically analyze that and come to a solution to predict the result, right? Next and last is basically reinforcement learning. A computer program interacts with a dynamic environment in which it performs certain goals, right? So, for example, such as driving a vehicle like Tesla, or when you're playing your video games, right? You have got an opponent where basically based on the learning and this thing, you are basically the computer is trying to ascertain and finding a path for you and basically helping you to get your way out, right? So, for example, as it navigates into basically the problem space and provides a maximum feedback that analogous to rewards, which tries to maximize. So I will basically take you through a video that will help you to understand much better. And if you have got any questions, just let me know. Let me go to the video, which will help you to understand much better.
Category. So the different types of machine learning algorithms are supervised learning, unsupervised learning, and reinforcement learning. Now, let's look at the definition of each of these learning techniques. Supervised learning uses labeled data to train machine learning models.
So as you can see, you are using a cat which is labeled on here, And basically, based on the learning, the computer will say this is a cat. So seeing this picture, when there is a picture of a cat comes, what it will do, it will basically identify it, basically based on this picture, and basically it will say it's a cat. Okay. So this is what is called a supervised learning. That what has been trained, only it basically based on that, it predicts you the answer.
Labeled data means that the output is already known to you. The model just needs to map the inputs to the outputs. An example of supervised learning can be to train a machine that identifies the image of an animal. Below you can see we have a trained model that identifies the picture of a cat. Unsupervised learning uses unlabeled data to train machines. Unlabeled data means there is no fixed output variable. The model learns from the data, discovers patterns and features in the data, and returns the output. Here is an example of an unsupervised learning technique that uses the images of vehicles to classify if it's a bus or a truck. So the model learns by identifying the parts of a vehicle, such as the length and width of the vehicle, the front and rear end covers, roof hoods, the types of wheels used, etc. Based on these features, the model classifies if the vehicle is a bus or a.
So as you can see here, it is a little bit more intelligent than basically the first one, the supervised learning. In unsupervised learning, based on the algorithm and this thing, for example, based on the size, the width, or part of it, it able to recognize what is the picture you are showing it, right? So this becomes a little more intelligent than the supervised learning.
A truck. Reinforcement learning trains a machine to take suitable actions and maximize reward in a particular situation. It uses an agent and an environment to produce actions and rewards. The agent has a start and an end state, but there might be different paths for reaching the end state like a maze. In this learning technique, there is no predefined target variable. An example of reinforcement learning is to train a machine that can identify the shape of an object given a list of different objects such as square, triangle, rectangle, or a circle. In the example shown, the model tries to predict the shape of the object, which is a square here. Now, let's look at the different machine learning algorithms that come under these learning techniques. Some of the commonly used supervised learning algorithms are linear regression, logistic regression, support vector machines, k-nearest neighbors, decision tree, random forest, and naive Bayes. Examples of unsupervised learning algorithms are k-means clustering, hierarchical clustering, db-scan, principal component analysis, and others. Choosing the right algorithm depends on the type of problem you are trying to solve.
So you have to understand this, what kind of problem you need to choose, and based on that, you will basically need to choose your method for getting the final results. So that is an intelligence you need to have, and that is why you need to understand this kind of methods. Of course, in this class, I'm not going to take you through, but you need to, what is the prediction, what is the future output you are looking at, you need to select the method for this under the supervised or unsupervised learning. And the list is given, some of the lists are given there.
Some of the important reinforcement learning algorithms are Q-learning, Monte Carlo, SARSA, and Deep Q network. Now let's look at the approach in which these machine learning techniques work. So supervised learning takes labeled inputs and maps it to known outputs, which means you already know the target variable. Unsupervised learning finds patterns and understands the trends in the data to discover the output. So the model tries to label the data based on the features of the input data. While reinforcement learning follows trial and error method to get the desired solution. After accomplishing a task, the agent receives an award. An example could be to train a dog to catch the ball. If the dog learns to catch a ball, you give it a reward such as a biscuit. Now, let's discuss the training process for each of these learning methods. So supervised learning methods need external supervision to train machine learning models, and hence the name supervised. They need guidance and additional information to return the result. Unsupervised learning techniques do not need any supervision to train models. They learn on their own and predict the output. Similarly, reinforcement learning methods do not need any supervision to train machine learning models. And with that,
so as you can see, these are the three different types of learning also, right? So student, as you can see in supervised learning, you need a teacher or basically a programmer to teach the machine how basically to identify the objects. right? In unsupervised learning, the technique do not trick a supervisor because based on the algorithm and the logic, it will try to identify basically the object that need to be identified. And reinforcement learning technique do not need any supervisor to again train the model based on the algorithm it will try to identify. And this is basically the smartest among all the three. Okay.
That let's focus on the types of problems that can be solved using these three types of machine learning techniques. So supervised learning is generally used for classification and regression problems. We'll see the examples in the next slide. And unsupervised learning is used for clustering and association problems, while reinforcement learning is reward based. So for every task or for every step completed, there will be a reward received by the agent. And if the task is not achieved correctly, there will be some penalty used. Now, let's look at a few applications of supervised, unsupervised, and reinforcement learning. As we saw earlier, supervised learning are used to solve classification and regression problems. For example, you can predict the weather for a particular day based on humidity, precipitation, wind speed, and pressure values. You can use supervised learning algorithms to forecast sales for the next month or the next quarter for different products. Similarly, you can use it for stock price analysis or identifying if a cancer cell is malignant or benign. Now, talking about the applications of unsupervised learning, we have customer segmentation. So based on customer behavior, likes, dislikes, and interests, you can segment and cluster similar customers into a group. Another example where unsupervised learning algorithms are used is customer churn analysis. Now, let's see what applications we have in reinforcement learning. So reinforcement learning algorithms are widely used in the gaming industries to build games. It is also used to train robots to perform human tasks.
So as you can see, this is basically student is the amount of three basically type of machine learning you have seen. One is supervised, unsupervised, and the reinforcement learning, right? Now, another way it can be the three types of machine learning we can say is basically descriptive to help to understand what happened in the past, prescriptive to automate the business decisions and process based on data, and the predictive to predict the future business scenarios. Right. So these are also the three types of kind of machine learning which can be used. Any question till now? Till time, student? Any question from you? Have you understood? Yes, student. Any questions?
No, sir.
Okay, great. So we'll move on to the next slide. I just wanted to tell you because next slides will be more interesting and we will see what is there. Okay, I'm sharing my screen. Please let me know once you're able to see my screen. I hope you're able to see my screen.
Yes, sir.
Great. So we have seen basically the types of machine learning, the video for that, which I've shown it to you. I hope you are able to understand much better the type of machine learning. Now, what are the limitations? Can you tell me what are the limitations? So basically what happens, the machine learning though you can see so many benefits of there, but there are some limitations in the machine learning. For example, lack of data, lack of access to the data, or most important thing is data bias. So it is basically, as you know, this is programmed by humans. And if something, they have already some bias on basically has been programmed, the machine learning using that will only provide you the result what has been provided or programmed to it, right? Because it doesn't have the kind of a human kind of a brain to understand and find out which is bias and non-bias. Next is the privacy problem, because if it is put on cloud, sometimes a lot of people can see it. So that can be another problem. And of course, if the programmer is not good and the programs and the logic built in it is not good, then you will have basically a lot of issues. And most important, student, you have to understand, in this world, the qualified AI ML persons is available is very, very less. So you can see there is a huge potential for each of you in the market. If you can learn it, you can basically able to generate huge income from you in the current and also in the future. Just to give an example, in 2018, a self-driven car from Uber failed to detect a pedestrian and accident happened and he was killed. So as you can see, of course, now the Tesla and other self-driven car, they have been much, much matured, but still in India, you will see very, very less because generally in India, we don't follow proper rules and guidelines when we are driving or walking in the street. That creates a huge problem, right? Now, for that, it will take some years to get into the maturity level of this self-driven car. Next is that, as you know, the global rules or the regulations for the self-driven car or when an accident happens, how basically the penalty or basically the in the court in the jurisdiction, how the case will be filed or how the procedure will be followed, it's still under debate, and around the world still the discussion is happening, right? For example, if an accident happens, whether it will be filed against the owner of that car or against the company who has manufactured. So different countries or different jurisdiction around the world has got different opinion, right? So based on that, still those cases are getting fought around the world. So we are waiting for those answers to those questions or the cases, what is the final verdict. And based on that, we will have a much better rules and regulation for this self-driven car. Next, for example, in the healthcare sector, as you know, IBM Watson failed to deliver basically some of the result after years of investments, more than billions of dollars that has been invested. So as you can see, there are still some lacuna or some issues with the machine learning, which that is why a lot of research is going around the world, and hopefully we will have a much, much powerful machine learning algorithm and this thing, which will be provide much continuity to the human race. Okay. Next, I go to the bias, right? As I was saying, this is one of the issues. A machine learning system trained specifically for current customer may not be able to predict the needs for the new customer groups and not represent in the training data. For example, now you are basically trained. Just think of this thing. The machine learning has been trained how you can, if a customer comes for a nano car, right, or a small car in the segment of what we call the small car segment, right? How you going to basically fulfill the requirement, the questions, and this thing, or provide a predictive analysis? What will be the number of things they will be looking into the car? Now, if that has been going for a bus or a truck with a heavy vehicle, what we say, their requirement is quite different. They will be coming with a commercial where purpose for buying that vehicle. So they want basically the accessories and basically the parts to be quite different. Whereas when you go and try to purchase a small car segment, that will be for the private consumption, right? So that is basically used by the person who is going to buy that car, may not be for the commercial purpose. So as you can see, based on that, if it is not been properly trained, the system is going to provide a wrong output to the customer group or customer base that has been trained for. Just to give you an example, simple, so it can be it related to multiple other different areas, and that is why there is a problem with the machine learning. And when trained on man-made data, the machine learning is likely to pick the constitution and the unconscious bias already present in the society. So based on the person who has programmed on this thing, based on his bias, the machine learning is going to predict based on that. For example, if the programmer is from the south, and if he just give him what you want in the breakfast, maybe he likes idli and dosa in the breakfast. Now, if he's from the north, a person will be maybe liking aloo parathas or puris, right? Or if it's from the west, he may like poha, upma, just giving an example. Now, if it basically, the machine learning has been trained by the programmer from the south, if you ask to predict what will be the breakfast, he will say maybe idli and dosa. Maybe the person may not like it because he has got a different preference on the breakfast he's want to have. So as you can see, this is some of the issues, but of course with the times and this thing, but if you can put it into your algorithm and this thing, who is asking the question from which region, or more data into the query, then of course what you can see a result much better. So as you can see, with evolving of time, there is a continuous improvement happening, and with that the machine learning is also getting more and more powerful. So student, any questions? Yes, student, any questions from your side till now? Can I move to the next slide? Hello students. So why to learn machine learning? A question can come to your mind, right? So machine learning can automate many tasks, especially the ones that human can perform with the intelligence. But why it is required is that when there is a replication of that work done by human, as a human, we are very lethargic and we are prone to make mistakes, right? So when a machine is being using machine learning, we want to get accurate result every time, or to get basically the result without any kind of fatigue or this thing. The decision making, we always prefer to go for a machine learning, right? Next is machine learning helps in creating models that can process and analyze large amount of complex data to deliver accurate results, right? So what happens when there is a huge amount of data? If a human wanted to do it, then it will take a lot of time to do it. But using the machine learning, what it happens is that it comes much faster and much accurate when there is a huge volume of data. Otherwise, it's sometimes not humanly possible. For example, in case of basically a tax firm, where there were basically some millions of basically files they need to go through to predict basically the error in that. Now, if humanly need to do it, then basically it would have take a lot of time. But when you are using a machine learning with an AI, with a very short time, they will be able to predict what are the basically the errors in those files, and they can easily also, if you have a correction algorithm built on it, it will also rectify those and correct those files also. Right? So what happens, these models are precise and scalable and functional with less turnaround time. The most important thing is, with the volume of data increasing, they are also scalable. That is how it is built. And with basically the open architecture generally that is created, you can basically have and always improve your software and also add new software or programs into it to make it much more flexible and scalable. So by building such machine learning models, business can leverage profitable opportunities and avoid unavoidable risk. So that is why machine learning, using machine learning, as you can see, you are able to get much better predictive analysis, and you know to improve your bottom line. That is nothing but a profit. So business can automate the routine task, and it helps in automating and quickly create models for data analysis, right? So this is another major advantage they are getting, because you can quickly adopt that and create your business models and automate it also, right? So that automatically it will help you to create those models much faster. Now, various industries depend on this vast quantities of data to optimize their operations and make intelligent decisions. You have seen basically in the like Amazon, or if you Flipkart, those are the things, or the supermarket chain. If you see basically Star Bazaar, or basically the Reliance Centro, or the Tatas, where they basically use this kind of a machine learning to predict what is the trend that is the customer going to have, and based on that they can have their stock available in those areas. Because as you know, maybe based on the trend and also based on the preferences of past buying history or past searches for that locality, basically the supermarket that is in that locality can have different stock from the supermarket in another locality. And of course, like the speech recognition, image recognition, text recognition are basically used in the current world. So how many of you have got iPhones with basically facial recognition? Yes, student. You got an iPhone or a phone or your laptop with the fingerprint recognition or face recognition? Yes, student. Anyone of you having? Hello, students. You can unmute and let me know. Are you able to hear me? Hello, students. Are you able to
Yes,
hear
sir.
me?
Your voice is audible, sir.
Yeah. So I just wanted to know how many of you have basically facial recognition or fingerprint recognition in your mobile or laptop?
Friends, please interact with sir.
Anybody is having? Or you have seen, right? So that is used basically based on the machine learning. Okay, let me share my screen again. Okay, the next thing is that, as you know, how machine learning is used, right? So Python is a language that is mostly used for AI and ML. Now, of course, it's one of the preferred languages, Python, along with required analytical and mathematical knowledge. You can basically create your programming for the AI and ML, right? So the 5 mathematical areas, generally, this is some of the things, areas, but there can be more for solving machine learning problems are linear algebra for data analysis, like scalars, vectors, matrices, and tensors. How many of you use tensors? Have you used tensors? Or mathematical analysis, derivatives and gradients, probability theory and statistics for machine learning, multivariate calculus. Next is algorithms and complex optimizations. Now, for example, in case of machine learning, as you know, GAN is also used, that is generative adversarial network, and that is used to identify between the real and fake image. For example, you want to have create a fake image and how you want to make it more of a real. So if this kind of a problem comes, so what happens? People can use tensors, and in that GAN is that can be used. So GAN is a deep neural net architecture comprised of 2 neural networks that compete each other against each other, right? And that is why it is called adversarial. So GAN is a neural network that are trained in an adversarial manner to generate data mimicking of the same distribution of 2 classes of models in machine learning. Okay, so what are the classification problems you can have? You can have a discrimination model, right? It is one of the discrimination between the 2 different classes of data. If, for example, if it is 0 for a fake image, or it gives 1 for the real image as an output. Next is basically a generate model. Generate model takes a base image and put it in the generator to mimic the attributes of the real image, to make it as close as the real image as possible. So what are the objective? Why you use this? Objective is basically that the fake generate image is as close as to the real image. Okay, so this is how basically the GAN has been used. Another is the back propagation. If the decision made by the discriminator is strong, right, or throws an error, then a feedback where fine-tuning of the discrimination model and the generator model will be taking place through the back propagation, right? If the discrimination value is 0.5, it can be no longer distinguished between what is real and what is fake. So this is how generally in case of machine learning, using the algorithm and logic or basically one of those programs, you will able to do it. Just to give you an example, I know you will be working on those and you will have hands-on experience. So L2s can also provide you much better learning on this. Next is how the ML works. I just give you an example how the ML works, but there are basically three major building blocks of a machine learning system are the models, the parameters, and the learner. The model is the system which makes the predictions, right? The parameters are the factors which are considered by the model to make predictions. And last but not the least, the learner makes the adjustment in the parameters and the models to align the predictions with the actual results. Right? Yes, student. So, of course, there is a lot of debate which is the best language to be used for ML. But generally what we have seen that Python is famous. I will not say the best, but generally it is highly used and recommended for machine learning because it is readable and relatively lower complexity as compared to the other programming languages. Machine learning applications involve complex concepts like calculus and linear algebra, which takes a lot of effort and time to implement. Python helps in reducing this burden with quick implementation for the machine learning engineers and to validate the ideas and for the predictive analysis. Another benefit of using Python is the machine learning is the pre-built libraries because it has got huge library in it and you can use those libraries as a reference and based on that you can create your machine learning much faster. Yes, student. So what is the difference between AI and ML, right? AI manages more comprehensive issues of automating a system using fields such as cognitive science, image processing, machine learning, or neural network of computerization. On the other hand, ML influences a machine to gain and learn from external environment. The external environment could be anything such as external storage, devices, sensors, or electronic segments, among others. That means using the machine learning, you can basically able to what? Tell me, what are the benefits you can get? What is the difference? Yes, student. So using machine learning, you're able to have learn from the also from the external world or from the data that is available, right? Historical data, isn't it? To have better predictions or to provide better analysis. Artificial intelligence enables machines and framework to think and do the task as humans, while machine learning depends on the inputs provided or queries requested by users. So this is one of the most important thing where AI able to think or do the task as human. That is basically kind of a thing which provides more intelligence to it, where machine learning depends on the inputs provided to it and the queries requested by the users. So based on the data that is provided to by the users, based on that, it provides the decision. Yes, students. So tell me some more from your experience, right? What is the difference between AI and ML? Please unmute and please let me know. Yes, students. Are you able to hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I'm only speaking. So I'm become thirsty. So I want some of you also to speak and let me know your views. Yes, come up and let me know what you think. What is the difference between AI and ML? Any volunteer? So students, what you are seeing around the world, right? Let's go a little bit about the trends and mega trends happening around the world also. You can see what is happening in Africa, right? The Niger, there is a military coup has happened. And you can see, you can reading into the newspaper maybe today also, ECOWAS has said they are basically the 15 African countries. They're thinking of basically getting the military government who has taken over to repulse that, and they go for a war, right? Now, this was a French colony, and there were other French colonies like Mali or other countries in that region, which has also revolted in the last few years, this giving the support to Niger. Think of that if again a war happens, right? Along with the Western countries coming in and supporting this ECOWAS. So there will be another major crisis happening around the world, right? And what is going to happen is that already Russia-Ukraine war, you have seen the crude prices gone up, and also the food crisis is happening. Why this is very important to you is that you can see there are usage of lot of drones, lot of basically warfare that is happening based on basically AI and ML, right? So based on the past data they have collected during this war, the Russia and Ukraine or the Western countries are utilizing it to develop up the new weapons. You have seen the drones, how the drones basically has improved during this war, and based on that, it has become a warfare of drones. You can see there is basically also how the transportation industry has gone for a change. Before, what you used to see from India to, for example, going to the Europe, we used to use Suez Canal, right? Now, there is a discussion that is happening now, the Arctic Circle, right? That is where already due to the pollution around the world, and mostly the Russia-Ukraine war is generating lot of carbon dioxide and basically increasing the pollution that area at a very fast speed. So already what you can see is the snow in the Arctic region is melting, right? Just to let you know what in the Arctic region, it basically comprises of huge amount of natural resources that is lying below the snow. Of course, Russia has already started exploring those, where you can see there are huge amount of natural gas, oil reserves, the spacious or precious materials or gold, silver, other things are lying inside. But the problem is that it is basically frozen because of the sea is frozen because of the snow. But with this pollution that is rising and the global climate that is changing, the snow has started melting. So there is a huge amount of investment that are going on, basically like the icebreaker ships that are getting constructed, so that there can be a different kind of a passage route. Now, if you see, if you come using the Suez Canal from Europe, for example, if it takes 40 days to come to India, the goods and services, using maybe this thing, it can save around 40% of time if it comes from the Arctic region. So there can be faster transportation of the goods, right, to basically Asian countries from Europe. Next is that huge potential are there for the precious materials like basically crude or natural gas and other thing that can be basically taken out from that region. So already the huge investment is happening, and for that you require basically precise lot of usage of artificial intelligence, machine learning, deep learning, and using basically a lot of you need basically engineers and also scientists and also programmers to work on those. So what we see in the future, there can be huge amount of investment that will be required. So as you can see, the way the world is working, don't basically stick that is what is happening currently. That will be there in the future. The future will be always be ever changing, and you need to adapt to that. For example, if you were young, I do not know how many of you have used to purchase films for your camera to click, but nowadays nobody buys those films because it is basically a past history. Everybody nowadays using the digital cameras, and you generally don't buy cameras, also use your mobile, because with that you can click your photos and you can send it to your friends or family members. So you can see there is always a trend and mega trend that is happening in the industry. And the most important thing is that you need to adapt to these changes. If you're not able to adapt to these changes, then you will be left behind, and basically others will be move ahead of it. And what will happen is that similarly you can see a lot of industries, like if I do not know whether maybe your parents must be knowing, this used to be on black and white TVs before, and this basically used to be like a big box. And after that, with the coming of color TVs, you have seen the size has basically the width of those TVs has absolutely sunk, and it has become bigger and bigger, the TVs, right? With the invent of the LED screens, it is basically have become very, very thin, so it doesn't occupy too much of your living space, but the screen has become big. And with that, using basically smart TVs, you can basically Netflix, you can see, for example, you can use it for your WhatsApp call also, or basically making a call and you can see the other person on your TV also, right? So within the smart TV, you can see using Wi-Fi, you don't require a cable also, you can use it from your mobile phone. You can basically switch on or switch off, or you can change the channels also. So as you can see, there is basically huge change in the way we are working or way we are seeing around us, right? Now, these are the things you need to understand with what is happening in the global and how it is basically impacting you when you're sitting in India. You have seen also, like India is started exporting a lot of defense equipments, right? In fact, there are some drones. In fact, some of the countries uh, are basically looking forward. And what I read a few days back, that India has backed order of 100 crores of drone export from a country in Europe. Now, as you can see, what is happening here is that with the advancement of technology and with the advancement of basically our own research and the smartness of our engineers, we are able to create niche areas for ourselves. And with that, we are able to basically getting good amount of export orders from the outside of India. Before, what used to happen, we were all importing basically this kind of advanced technologies to India. Think of the Predator drones from USA we are purchasing, right? Which is almost a $3 billion we are spending for that. But now we are slowly exporting our own equipments, and we are able to basically create a market for ourselves. For example, Bharat Forge, which basically an Indian company, is able to export howitzer, right? You have seen in the long time back that we used to buy Bofors, and which is a controversial, of course, what happened. I'm not going to those, but we used to import high-tech technologies from outside. But now we are already started exporting. As you can see, we are selling basically BrahMos missile, we are selling Pinaka missiles, we're selling our own howitzers, right? So what you can see is that a lot of advancement in the technology this is happening, and these are big basically exports market that are happening. Maybe you may not be aware the defense market around the world is more than $1 trillion. So you can understand it is basically a huge market potential where we are actually doing basically a footsteps into those markets, and which calls for basically huge amount of research, development, and advancement of basically ourselves into basically more of an AI and ML part of it, right? Because you need to do programming, you need to build your logic, and only then you are basically creating a niche market, niche product, and which you're able to sell. You have seen that basically in the research and development also, right? Now, our space agency is working around the clock, right? And we are able to basically send our own satellite. And not only that, we are able to send basically the satellites of our different friendly countries into the globe, right? On the outer space. So we just recently sent some satellites of Singapore out in the basically outer space. Now that also generates huge amount of money. Now, as you know, This all the things requires basically a lot of basically IT work, a lot of programming need to be done, a lot of basically smart enhancement of ourselves to create those kind of programs, create algorithms, and those basically are basically required by the smart people. And you can see for yourself, sky is not even the limit for you, because you are into an era where it's basically an era where you need smart people, need smart programming, and this is where you can keep your footstep. You can think what you want to do, what is your future you want plan to do, and you can basically focus yourself and can work on that. Right, students? Any questions? Yes, student, any question? Can you move and go to the slide? Are you able to hear me? So you have understood what is the difference between AI and ML, isn't it? So students, are you able to see my screen?
Yes, sir.
Excellent. Now we are coming basically some of the important things. As you can see, using the ML, the facial recognition we can do, right? Now, using the facial recognition, you can basically open your mobile phone or your laptop. Think of yourself using the facial recognition. You can recognize your friend in the internet, in the social media, and you can tag them, right? For example, your friend in the basically Facebook or Instagram is there, right? You can check and you can basically find out also what they're doing, where they've gone, or if there any picture of that, and you can also tag yourself into that. Image recognition is basically used to recognize the image, and with that, basically, it helps into the security purpose in searching of the missing individuals, right? Using the identify the criminals, in fact, help into the investigation, and also helps in the marketing diagnosis of diseases, right? And also, for example, using the facial recognition, you can basically identify people who has come in the office, schools, and also can be used, for example, in the airport, right? What happens in the airport if you walk in? Maybe you don't see any security guards nearby, but there are multiple cameras that are there. What it does is basically using the facial recognition, or they try to identify whether there is a person with any criminal background is there or not, or any terrorist. If they identify and matches it with the facial recognition, the face of those people, now what will happen immediately? It will let the security guards nearby, and then will come and basically take that person for an investigation. Because in plane you cannot have a terrorist on board it, and as you know, then it will create a huge problem for the country and also for the airport authority. Next, what they do using the facial recognition is that they will try to see if the person is behaving abnormal or not. If they see the person is behaving abnormal, or there is basically any suspicious things is doing, right? Or basically within his hand, feet, any movement, they find it's not a normal, and they have got basically algorithm and logic built on them. And based on that, they will try to basically alert the security guard to check that the person is not going to do any mischievous things, right? So as you can see, those are the things they can do for the security purpose. Similarly, you think of a people who are going into the stadium, right? In a stadium, a huge number of crowd is there. Now, if they can identify those people who are basically create kind of problems of this thing. Now, maybe you may be aware that in case of soccer matches or this thing, right, they are basically hooligans who come in and basically create a lot of damage. Now, if they can identify those kind of people, they can basically keep the security guard alert, and they can be stopped at a particular time so that it doesn't create a out of control of the crowd management. Similarly, as you can see, for the students or basically in office, they can use basically this kind of a recognition or the facial recognition, and they can see that the person is under depression or basically having some internal problems, so that the coaching can be given, or basically psychologist can be assigned to them so that they can be treated, and without any problems for future, they can be basically no future problem can be happening for those people, right? So as you can see, some of the benefits of this are there. But if anybody of you want to say something, please let me know your comments. What is your understanding of facial recognition and image recognition, and how it can be helpful? Yes, students, please unmute and please let me know if you have got any of your suggestions. Yes, student, you can unmute and let me know your input. Can you give me an example of facial recognition? Hello, students, are you able to hear me? Students, are you able to hear me?
Yes, sir.
So give me an example of facial recognition or image recognition that comes to your mind. Can you give me an example? Okay, no problem. So I move on to the next slide. That is automatic speech recognition. So this is abbreviated as ASR, or automatic speech recognition, is used to convert the speech into digital text, right? Its application lie in authenticating user based on their voice and performing tasks based on the human voice inputs. So based on those, they can identify the person, so that some kind of a security layer can be done, so that based on the voice, because each and everybody has got different kind of voice, right? Speech patterns and vocabulary are fed into the system to train the model. Presently, the AI system find a wide variety of application in the following domain: medical assistance, industrial robotics, forensics and law enforcement, defense and aviation, telecommunication industry, home automation and security access control, IT and consumer electronics. Now to give some of the example, for example, if you are coming into the home, now in the main door, you can put your as a voice recognition, and you can say, like you have seen Aladdin and 40 Thieves, where the key is to open based on this to say something, right? And based on that, the key is to get open. Similarly, here you can have your voice recognition in your main door only based on your voice. Once it recognizes it, it will open the door. Otherwise, it will not open the door. So you can provide some kind of a security. Next is that in medical, what is happening based on the voice. Now they will try to identify whether there is any kind of disease of this thing. So what they've done, they're going to create kind of an algorithm. They're going to create kind of a logic. Based on that, if they find there is basically tremor in your voice, or there are some kind of areas where voice has got some issues of this thing, with that also they will try to identify what kind of disease is there, and they will try to provide a basically medicine based on that. So in case of interviews also, as you can see, the voice recognition has been done. Now you have seen a lot of candidates give false certificates, and it has also been found that when they're speaking maybe over the phone, the interview is happening. One person speaks over the phone, the interview is taken, and another person comes when basically actual into the company. So of course, those are identified, security checks are done, and they are fired immediately once those has been they found it out, right? So here also, what happens, you can using this, they can identify whether the person is actual or not. That is why multiple interviews are also taken, so that they record that and try to identify that the same candidate is there or not using the voice recognition. And if they identify that is not the same person, of course, that person is not taken into the company. So as you can see, there are huge areas where this has been used, and of course, more are research are going on to utilize in other areas also. As I was telling you, AI and ML in the financial services are used in great numbers, and also the potential is going up every day. So machine learning with AI has many use cases in the financial services. Machine learning algorithms prove to be intelligent and in detecting and frauds by monitoring the activities of the users, and also access that if it is an attempted activity in a typical or that been the user or not. For example, in the banking, right? So using kind of AI and ML, they try to identify that is a user which is correct or not, or the authenticated person or not. If it is not an authenticated person, then they will block it immediately, right? Next is financial monitoring to detect the money laundering activities, and also critical security use cases in machine learning, right? That has been done. So if you've got your online account, maybe for SDFC or others, you will see there are basically some smart questions or pictures are there, and based on them, you have to identify if it is correct or not. Not only your password, so it is protected by multiple things, and sometimes based on that you will be allowed to authenticate, and you will to allowed to enter into the system. Next is basically the machine learning and AI also helps in making better trading decisions and help out the algorithm that can analyze thousands of data sources simultaneously. Credit scoring and underwriting are some of the other applications. Now, how it does in the stock market? So are you anybody of investing in stocks? Okay, so in the stock market, what happens is that based on the past history, that is basically kind of, as you know, the balance sheet and profit and loss for past years are taken into account. And based on that, the trends, what will be the future that is predicted. Just give me a minute, please. Yes, students. So in the stock market, what we will find is that based on basically what is happening around the industry, so they do a comparison of other industry and how it is placed, whether there is any capacity increases happening. Now, there will be basically other parameters in the ratio analysis is done. For example, what is my net profit margin? What is my gross profit margin? What is the PE ratio? What is basically based on my current profit, and what is the future profit? What will be my stock price? Now, whether it is basically a downtrend or uptrend, or how the market condition is looking at, how the raw material prices is going to go up. Now, for example, like Indian oil, right? If the crude prices around the world increases, generally we take the price as a Brent. Now, if the prices of crude goes up, then automatically, if your selling price does not go up, your profit margin will be squeezed, and automatically your prices will come down. Now, for example, if you're in a chemical industry, if you've got a raw material coming from China, now due to this, basically the freight charges around the world increases. Now, if the freight charges increase, that means your price of raw material coming to India will also increase, right? So your basically overall cost of importing the raw material increases automatically. If you are not able to sell at a higher price, what will happen? Your profit margin squeezes, and you profit for the next quarter or the next year will be less, and based on your stock prices comes down. Now, if you think of an automobile industry currently, during the COVID times, you have seen there is a huge supply chain problem used to happen, where the production were almost reduced. But nowadays, what is happening around the world, there is a huge demand for automobiles. In fact, if you go and buy a car now, if you want to buy your own color, preferred color or the model, the showroom will say, no, it's not available. You have to wait for another 6 months. And after that, you come and buy, because there is a huge demand in the automobile currently. That means the automobile companies is going to make huge profit. They can increase the price easily and they can make their profit. So based on what is the situation currently, based on the trends and mega trends around the world, they can basically create using AI ML. You can create your what will be the future profit, or you can the share price will be. So based on that, what will happen? You can create kind of a pricing mechanism, and based on that you can predict, and based on that you can invest, right? So this is how in the stock market it goes on, and based on that the investors make good amount of profit. Of course, the most common application in our day-to-day activities are basically the virtual personal assistants like Siri and Alexa. For example, Alexa, if you say, I want to hear the music of Kishore Kumar, yeah, and the song, it will play those songs. If you say, I want to have basically the best 5 songs of Kishore Kumar and play it to me, or Lata Mangeshkar, it will have from the history or the storage in that and will play for you, right? Yes, student, any question from your side? Hello, students, are you able to hear me? Any questions? Next is healthcare. A vital application of artificial intelligence and machine learning is the diagnosis of diseases and ailments which are otherwise difficulties to diagnose. For example, if you have kind of a skin problem, right? Now, using the skin problem, it can recognize using kind of image recognition what kind of skin problem that has been done in the previously, and based on that past history, if you can analyze, and will come with a kind of predictive kind of medicines which are really applicable to you. So as you can see, there are a lot of uses of in the healthcare that we can utilize using the AI and ML. So radiotherapy is also becoming better with the machine learning taking over. So this is one of the example. Early stage of drug discovery is another crucial application which involves technologies such as precision medicine and next generation sequencing. Clinical trials cost a lot of money and to complete and deliver results. Applying machine learning based predictive analytics could improve on these factors and give better results. Absolutely, the recent thing is basically when the corona happened, right? So many research happened around the world. Now, as you know, to get into a kind of a medicine or any injection or antidote, it takes years. Generally, it takes in years of maybe 8 to 10 years of research, multiple testing, and after that, once it finds that there is no effect to the human, then it comes to the market. But just when this epidemic of coronavirus happened, we don't have so much of time, right? So a lot of AI and ML was used to ensure that there is no basically kind of a effect to the human. So they use basically selective kind of testing, and based on multiple such testing, they came to the decision that this can be used to human. Now, as you can see that using AI and ML, you can basically faster the overall cycle of your clinical testing, and using that, it helps the humans a lot, right? So some of the benefit, as you can see, is already there. Any questions? Just for wait for a minute. I've got a call. I'll just be on. Yes, student. So as you can see, there is huge benefit what we are getting from the AI and ML in the healthcare. Machine learning technologies are also critical to make predictions, right? So the scientists around the world are using this technology to predict the epidemic outbreaks also. Now, if they see the kind of scenario that based on the kind of past history or this thing, there can be a kind of an epidemic or this thing, they can take preventive maintenance, right? So this is what we can see the huge benefit using AI ML we are getting into the healthcare. Yes, student, any question? Of course, I think most of you are using the social media, and social media we can see huge amount of benefit that we're getting using from AI and ML. For example, you take Twitter, right? If any hate speeches are there, it can identify those and you can block those people from the Twitter. Now, for example, you want to prefer to have the Twitter to show the best tweets first or reasonably chronicle timeline. These changes are being driven by Twitter machine learning, right? So Twitter AI evaluates each tweet in real time and scores them according to the various metrics or algorithm or the logic that has been provided or the number of basically viewer, what is the feedback, right? How many likes you have got, and all those things are taken into account. And based on that, they basically provide which is the best tweet. And of course, based on that, they will basically keep this on the top of the search list and person can come and look into it. So that making basically the users more congenial benefit, or it is basically making user experiences much higher with this. The Twitter algorithm then displays the tweets that are likely to drive the most engagement. This is determined by the individual basis. Twitter's machine learning tech makes those decisions based on your individual preferences. Another example, if you can see in the social media, is basically if you go to the kind of Google search machine, where basically based on your past history, past searches, it will try to provide you what you're looking at. For example, if you can play, for example, tennis, and if you put the type ball, it will basically provide all the information about the tennis because you have been searching tennis in your past history or in your past. Basically, you have purchased maybe a lot of tennis goods on this thing. For example, a person who likes to play cricket, now if he has been searching all about the cricket and the news and this thing, when he search the ball into the Google, it will basically provide him the about all the informations about the cricket. Now, this is basically a user experience that you are able to get. This is all based on the machine learning because of the past history or past searches that has been done. You think of basically in case of Amazon, based on your past purchase, past searches you have done, it will be able to provide you basically the kind of goods you are looking at to procure. Now, why it is very important? It is very important is that it basically helps you to give a better user experience, and it also helps you to basically your search time to get into a product is much less. Now, what I've seen is that when I've been to in Europe in one of the shopping mall, now based on my past history or purchase or this thing, and when I go and enter this mall, best automatically messages start coming into my mobile, right, into messages that this is the percentage of discounts that are available. Now, how they for a particular product, because based on my purchase, they found that in this supermarket, what is the best discount I can get into those kind of particular product, and then they basically provide looking into my location, identify my location that I've been to that mall, and also identify what are the histories that of that product I purchases. They started giving me a good amount of discounts. Now, for me, what is the benefit I'm getting is that based on this, I'm able to save time and able to basically purchase those products much faster. So as you can see, there are a lot of benefit I'm also getting, and also I feel very happy because I don't have to buy the product at a high price because I know what are the kind of discounts in those products I can get in from the supermarket. Right. So any of you want to give any of the AI ML that you have seen in the your social media accounts? Yes, students. I open this to you because this is most of you are using social media. So anybody want to give an example? Hello, students. Okay, so let me share my screen again. So now, as you can see, how basically we do kind of using the natural language or processing system, how we can basically identify. So there are some 5 steps what we can do of the based on this diagram or illustration that is shown here. So the voice is pick up for the voice recognition, then the speech recognition happens. Then using the natural language NLU and with AI. So proper that data is basically stored, and based on that natural language generation, that text is basically created, and with the speech synthesis or recognition, the speech is recognized, and based on that they can identify whether the person who is speaking is the person that has been before programmed, if it is the person or not. If the person is not that, of course it will basically tell that this you are not the correct person, and then basically may not give access or may not basically the work that is required or to perform for this person will not be performed. So as you can see, there are basically huge potential for using the NLP, right? And basically using the NLU and NLG, where basically a lot of research has been going on. And based on that, what we foresee is that we can see a lot of user experience that are going to come up in the coming days. So what is future AI? The machine learning platforms are among enterprise technology's most competitive things that are being used by the large companies like Amazon, Google, Microsoft, IBM. And this is basically they're using for their customers and to have basically analysis, predictive analysis done, and for the market research has been done. And based on this, they're basically collecting the data. Data preparation has been done, data classification has been done, and the model is built for their internal processes improvement or for basically the customer satisfaction or customer predictions, and also for the applications they're developing for improving those also, or for the new ideas to create based on the market trends or the mega trends that is happening around them. So this is an example how basically a kind of a currently in industry is being used, right? So as you can see, for example, if you have got a, I think a lot of you have used basically like HDFC Bank or any other thing, you have got a automated user support mechanism, right? How it done? It is based on the already the knowledge management or basically how the past history, how the questions are asked, and how it has been resolved. Those is already put into it. Now, for example, in this industry, you've got the chatbots and this thing are created, and basically depending on the categories the question is asked, there is basically a human voice comes from the chatbots and help to guide you, or there are basically in some cases you type it and you get automatic messages from that system based on the questions that has already been asked before, and based on that it will guide you. If the questions are basically, if the system or the chatbot doesn't know that, it will say that you have to basically call the representative and the human will answer to your questions. Now, as you can see here, whether there is a problem, right, based on whether it is basically printing or document management or system login or user administration. Now, based on the problem you create, now what will happen? The virtual assistant will help you to guide you and able to resolve those questions. Now, what happens 24/7, these things can work. So with less human touch or less human effort, you are able to get the answers. And at any time of the day or night, you are able to get your feedback. So what is happening? This really helps you. It provides you some kind of an user experience. Now, for this, there are a lot of automation tools are also used. For example, Blue Prism or UiPath, blah, blah, blah. So using those things, the processes are automated. Now there can be automated walkthrough also can be done. Now using the open source system, in fact, this improvement also can be done. And also it can be multilinguistic, means it can be in Japanese, French, Italian, Spanish languages. Also it can be, you can ask question and you can get answers. So those things also can be done, right? So what are the things? It will be basically, for example, your password reset and this thing, simple activities. Now you can ask that question, it will help you, guide you, and you can do it. So by this, what is happening, you are basically, your cost of the operations comes down. And when your cost of the operations comes down, what will happen? You will be able to generate good amount of profit, right? And based on this, there will be frequent, basically FAQs are created, and based on the knowledge that is there, and this will be part of the virtual assistant brain, and using that, it basically helps you to answer those, right? So this is how currently using the chatbot, you can solve the tickets and you're able to help your customer and you can create that. So student, before I move on to the next slide, do you have got any questions on this? Yes, students, any questions? Okay, if you don't have any questions, let's move on to the next slide. So this is basically kind of how the architectural diagram, as you can see, user interface is there. It can be voice, it can be data, or it can be video. Now using kind of the data pre-processing, it identifies if it is a voice, speech recognition, if it's an image, using image recognition, and based on that, it will be put into basically the AI brain using the deep learning or deep NLP processor. Then basically using the machine learning, it will help you to create a kind of a knowledge builder into it, and the self-learning of using basically the AI part of it. It will identify that, process it, and based on that, or using the robotics RPA, it will try to automate, and after that, using the AI connector, it will provide a dashboard or the reports. So based on that, you can able to do a lot of analytics, and also based on that, you will be able to help you to provide your decision making and also support in your analysis, right? So this is basically kind of an industry sample industry AI that can be used. So as you can see, using kind of this thing, it would really help you in faster decision making and give you a better inputs for your analysis also. Now let's go and see one video about the future technologies that are there. And before that, do you have got any questions, students? If you don't have any questions, let me just play a video for you.
Future Technology, a preview of 2050. Have you ever wondered what the future holds? Picture a world where machines have thoughts and dreams, cities thrive on invisible energy, and virtual reality blurs the line between what's real and what's not. Ask yourself, will it be a perfect paradise or a chilling nightmare? The world is changing quickly. Technological innovations have revolutionized how we live, work, and interact with the world around us. It has given us the power to accomplish feats once thought impossible, and it continues to push the limits of what is possible. Explore the mysteries of future technologies and a preview of 2050 in this video. No one can say how the world will look in 2050, but tech companies are making predictions and have invested billions of dollars in some game-changing projects. Here are a few possibilities. space exploration and colonization. Have you ever wondered what the future holds? Picture a world where machines have thoughts and dreams.
So just to let you know, the smart cities that are coming around the world. Now in India also, they have thought of around creating more than 100 smart cities. Now, just to let you know, the Neom city in Saudi Arabia, just the basic investment is around $500 billion, right? So you can see trillions of dollars are going to be invested in the smart cities and the smart projects. And all of them, basically, smart means you require AI and ML and IoT. So think of those huge, large projects that are coming up, and you've got huge potential for yourself. So that is what another trend that is coming up around the world.
Cities thrive on invisible energy, and virtual reality blurs the line between what's real and what's not. Ask yourself, will it be a perfect paradise or a chilling nightmare? The world is changing quickly. Technological innovations have revolutionized how we live, work, and interact with the world around us. It has given us the power to accomplish feats once thought impossible, and it continues to push the limits of what is possible. Explore the mysteries of future technologies and a preview of 2050 in this video. No one can say how the world will look in 2050, but tech companies are making predictions and have invested billions of dollars in some game-changing projects. Here are a few possibilities. Space exploration and colonization. By 2050, space exploration and colonization will reach exciting new heights. Elon Musk's goal of bringing humans to Mars is already being supported by SpaceX, which has already taken the lead in establishing a...
So already, as you know, Elon Musk has created a new company, SpaceX, and they're investing billions of dollars for this. So you can see that already wise men like Elon Musk spending huge amount of money. And that is where the trends and mega trends is there, because ultimately the resources in Earth is going to exhaust. Now they're already started exploration in the universe where they can find more resources and they can utilize it, and where they can basically go and stay. So basically a space journey or space basically exploration is going to be a huge trend. And all those things require in the science, a lot of your programming need to be done, the logic need to be built, and of course you need smart guys who are going to work on those areas.
Sustainable space tourism economy. We'll explore space with better spacecraft, engines, and robots. Mars may have already hosted several human missions, preparing people to live there someday. Exciting space vacations and hotels will attract adventurers, plus we'll start mining asteroids for Earth's resources. As we look ahead, the dream of living on other planets will come closer, opening a new era of space exploration. By 2050, the space tourism industry will be valued at $3 billion. Although traveling will be comfortable, it's important to remember that going beyond the moon will be costly. According to studies, a week of space travel can cost you around $100 million. Drone efficiency. In the not-so-distant future of 2050, drones will be familiar companions in our daily lives.
So see, drones has already been part of our daily life, right? If you go for any survey, right, the land survey or this thing, drones have been used. The world's, as you can see, the drones has been used extensively, right? Now, some of the companies like which are the logistic company already using drones for basically dispatching their material from one place to another place. Now, drones are also used basically for healthcare, now basically providing medicine, and also multiple other purposes of drones are there. And in India, the drone market is growing like leaps and bounds and around the world also. And India also wants to become basically a drone powerhouse, and already there are a lot of basically companies, small and large, are investing in the drone technology and developing drones. Right? So we see a huge potential in the drone market.
These remarkable flying machines will offer a wide range of services, making our lives easier and more efficient. From delivering packages and groceries to providing emergency medical supplies in remote areas, drones will navigate the skies with precision and ease. They will be safer and more reliable with improved battery life and advanced obstacle avoidance systems. Drones will also aid surveillance, helping monitor environmental changes and enhance security. As we look to the skies, drones will improve as our essential assistants, revolutionizing our lives and work. Development of green cities. In the envisioned landscape of 2050, green cities will flourish as shining examples of sustainable living. These eco-friendly urban havens will prioritize renewable energy sources like solar and wind power, reducing reliance on fossil fuels. Lush green spaces will adorn the cityscape, promoting clean air and biodiversity. Sustainable transportation systems, including electric vehicles and efficient public transit, will minimize pollution and congestion. Intelligent technologies will optimize energy usage, with smart grids and energy-efficient buildings leading the way. Waste management will be revolutionized, emphasizing recycling and composting to minimize landfill waste. Green cities in 2050 will foster a harmonious coexistence between humans and nature.
So around the world, as you can see, a lot of sustainable cities are getting created, or the investment in those cities are going up and up. Because as you know, the resources are limited, right? Now, those who are from the Delhi or NCR region knows how pollution is there, right, during the winter. In fact, the fog is so much dense that it becomes very difficult to drive, and that is not good for health also, right? So that is basically creating, decreasing the life of the human beings. Now, looking at all those things, there is a huge investment around the world is happening to make the life much, much better. And for that, to have basically sustainable cities where it will use the reusable energy, for example, using solar, wind power. If it is near the sea, maybe using the sea waves, or maybe the hydrogen, maybe green hydrogen, so that there is very, very less emission of carbon dioxide and the air is much, much better, so that people enjoy living in those cities, and also health issues are reduced. Now, looking at that, what we see is that there's a great potential for basically the investment. Now, for the wastages, right? The garbage disposals, now if it is done in a proper way, in a scientific way, and the bad odor, if you're passing through a garbage, this thing, it will not feel you good. Now you need to basically have a planned city where you're going to stay, which provides you kind of an automatic garbage clearing, and using that also from the garbage, you can turn it into energy using electricity, and that can power your light in your homes. Of course, you have the smart metering and smart grids, right, which will also help to best utilization of your energy. Now, looking at all those things, there's a huge investments that are going on, and that will be the future, because as you know, resources are limited and we need to use that optimally, right? We need to use that in a much better way so that we can keep it for our future generation.
Ensuring a thriving and livable future for all. Travel revolutions. In the vibrant world of 2050, there will be a remarkable revolution in travel, bringing destinations closer than ever. High-speed transportation systems will whisk us across continents in a blink, with supersonic trains and futuristic hyperloop networks revolutionizing long-distance travel. Air travel will be faster, greener, and more accessible thanks to advanced electric aircraft and sustainable aviation technologies. In the following years, flying autonomous vehicles will also be a reality. The need to create air taxis is to offer people ease in driving. Virtual reality will enable immersive travel experiences, allowing us to explore exotic locations from our homes. Furthermore, translation devices and cultural integration technologies will dissolve language barriers, fostering global connectivity. As we venture into 2050, our travel horizons will expand, offering us a boundless world of exploration and discovery. Growth of AI. Artificial intelligence, AI, will cover each aspect of our lives, transforming how we work, communicate, and innovate. AI-powered systems will assist us in countless ways, simplifying tasks and enhancing productivity. Intelligent virtual assistants will be our companions, seamlessly organizing our schedules, providing personalized recommendations, and anticipating our needs. AI algorithms will revolutionize healthcare, enabling early disease detection and personalized treatment. Autonomous vehicles will navigate our streets, making transportation safer and more efficient. With the advancement of AI ethics, we will ensure the responsible development and integration of AI technologies, fostering a future where humans and intelligent machines coexist harmoniously. Robot implementation. Robotics.
So another most important thing is that most of the repetitive work that is happening will be taken care by the robots, right? A lot of investment is already going on to create cybots also. You have seen, Alan, in fact, a lot of investment is happening where they want to put chips inside the human also and try to basically use them to have much more power and get basically the work done. Or, for example, you don't need to carry your credit cards on this thing. Maybe your chip is inserted in your kind of your hand already. Just you use that to get all your bills cleared and this thing. Of course, I'm not talking, there are a lot of pros and cons into that. So as you can see, there is a lot of research and basically development is going on. Now, of course, robots has been quite used, and in industry that it realizes revolution has already happened. And what we can foresee is that there is a huge potential and there will be huge amount of demand for this in the coming days also. And here, basically, what I foresee is there is a great demand for all of you, and you need to focus if you want to pursue on your robotics. There is basically a huge potential for all of you.
Will redefine the boundaries of innovation and convenience. Advanced robots will become integral to our daily lives, revolutionizing industries and enhancing human capabilities. These intelligent machines will perform various tasks, from assisting in healthcare and elderly care to managing household chores and maintenance. They will work alongside humans in factories, augmenting productivity and precision. The field of robotics will see fascinating progress, with humanoid robots exhibiting lifelike movements and empathetic interactions. Collaborative robots, or cobots, will seamlessly integrate with humans, achieving a flawless harmony. As we step into 2050, the future of robotics promises a world where technology and humanity unite to shape a brighter tomorrow. Internet of Things. The Internet of Things, IoT, will weave a web of seamless connectivity, transforming how we interact with our environment. Smart homes will anticipate our needs, adjusting temperature, lighting, and security with intuitive precision. Connected wearable devices will monitor our health in real time, providing personalized insights and early warnings. Smart cities will optimize energy consumption, traffic flow, and waste management, enhancing efficiency and sustainability. Industries will harness the power of IoT, using sensors and data analytics to streamline operations and boost productivity. With billions of devices interconnected, the IoT will create a global network, empowering us to lead smarter, more connected lives. Each of these scenarios is speculative, and unexpected innovations or adjustments to social, financial, or environmental conditions may substantially impact.
So, student, as you can see here, right, that there are basically huge trends and mega trends happening. For example, IoT, it is increasingly like leaps and bounds every day, and we are already part of it. The mobile phone you are using, the laptop you are using, the communication that we are having in the classroom that is happening is based on the IoT, right? And this is going to go more and more. And of course, with that, you will have a lot of data that will be there in the cloud. So cloud is another area where basically a lot of data will be stored. Next is basically the analysis of the data and the analytics of those where to get basically result out of it. Right? So as you can see, there is a huge potential for each of those areas. Now you only need to decide which area you want to work on, and you need to basically get yourself aligned to those ideas and work on those. And based on that, you can create a niche market for yourself. Okay? So I just wanted to now check with you if you've got any questions. Yes, students, are you able to hear me? Any questions from your side? Yes, student, any questions? Are you able to hear me?
Yes, sir.
Hello, student. You got any questions? So if you don't have any questions, then we will close today's session, and I will look forward to see you next week. So have a great weekend and have a great week ahead. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, sir.